Insane Ninja Warrior Z here, and this time I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm making a tutorial, and I've had since okay, I'm sorry. I've had people ask me how do I make my profile pics and stuff like that. So today I'm gonna show you how. And I just dropped my microphone. Okay, here we go. So the program I'm using is Serif Draw X6, Serif Draw Plus X6. And it's a pretty cheap program. It's around $40, and it's really easy to use. And it's got everything you'll need to make profile pictures, and you can even make animations and stuff with this. This program is awesome. So we're gonna just start. We're gonna start now. So all right. First, you're gonna need to get a picture of something that you want. And in my case, I'm going to do another Dragon Ball picture for this one. So, here we go. I already downloaded the photo off the internet and put it on my desktop so it's easy to find. All right. Then you just drag it in. You just pull it, click on it, hold click, and just drag it right into the program. It's really that easy. And getting the picture in the program, that's the easiest part. So now we're going to start the art. And to make it easier, I always like to use multiple layers because if you have one layer, it gets harder to click on certain things and stuff. I'll show you what I mean. So he's got his clothes, the body, and the head. So the clothes are gonna go over the body. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a couple of layers now. And since the clothes go over the body, each one on top of the layers, either one of these are above each one. So 3 is above 2, 4 is above 3, 5 is at the top, and the picture I'm tracing is at the bottom. So first, we're going to go to layer 1. We're going to do his clothes first. So, all right, here we go. Then we just click zoom. And this is really easy. We're just going to click on the pencil tool. Here are all your colors and stuff. You can mix your own colors using that. And then the other thing that I'm clicking on right now, that's how you fill the stuff. So we're going to click on this to make sure it's blank. So right now, because we just want to trace it. So, all right. So then we're going to hold shift. Shift is how you keep the line straight. So it's real easy. You don't have to be good at freehand or anything, because I'm not. So we're going to start with a line thickness. I just use 1 point as the thickness. Anything thicker than that is usually too much if you're making a small profile size image. So I'm going to start now. Then I just hold shift here. Then I let go of shift. Then I'm going to press shift again, click on the line. Boom. There we go. It's that easy. And then I'm just going to trace his body from here. And I always like to start from the bottom up because it makes things less confusing when you're trying to follow it. And then this tool right here, the node tool, that's what you can use to bend the lines and stuff. That you've done it. And the undo button, that's just to undo any changes that you didn't want done. All right. So I'm just gonna follow the outline of his body. I gotta go there since his clothes are gonna be right here. And his body is going to be the lowest layer down. So the clothes are actually going to overlap anything that looks strange. All right. The hands are always the hardest. So I'm actually going to say that for last. All right. And we'll go back there. And right now I'm just holding shift and just re-clicking. Each time you re-click, you make another line. There we go. All right, now this really doesn't matter. I'm just doing this so the whole thing will be closed, and then right there in that little green spot. So now that's enclosed. So now the baseline of his body is done. All right. Yeah. There we go. So I'm just using the node tool to make sure all the curves and stuff are matched up. If anything looks strange, sometimes you can go back fix it, but everything's looking pretty good. Close that one up. Close that one up. We're just trying to make sure we're going to drag all the lines and make sure they're all blended together. So we want it to look as seamless as we can. It won't be perfect, but from a distance, no one will really be able to tell. All right, so the outline of his body is pretty much done. Let me fix that. There we go. All right. So next, we're going to start with the detail. I'm just doing the same thing here. I'll draw a line there. Go back to the pencil. Go to the node. I mean, you can do it in any order if you want. You can trace the whole body, then fix everything with the node. So I kind of like to work when I go. There we go. And remember, the colors go over this, so anything that looks weird is going to be fixed. There we go. There we go. All right, that looks, trying to get detail to match up. Getting all these to match up. I tell you what, though, tracing these gives you a lot of respect for the artists that have to draw these images over and over and over again. It makes you realize how hard animating is. So we're just going to do all the details. This is going to be a pretty long video. So I hope you guys got a snack or something. Because I'm showing you all the way through. I'm not going to fast forward or skip anything. Right now I'm just doing the lines. Alright. And another thing that I always like to do is save often. Because serif can be somewhat unstable. So it's just good to save after you do something big. It's just click the little save icon up there. Now, I'm sure there are other ways you can do this in other art programs. It's basically the same principle. If you have an art program that has vectors and allows you to pull in photos, this method will work for any program that allows you to do that. So this isn't really serif exclusive. It's just the program I happen to be using. But these techniques can be used in other art programs. Just making all the curves match. See, now you're starting to see the detail more filled out. All right. Next, I'm not gonna do that little green as arm guards because that's actually a part of his clothing. So all this is just basically just his body. So now we're doing the hand. Now the hands are always tricky with the lines. So the trick is just to go up and down while holding the shift button. Just make sure the shift key is your best friend because that's how you get the straight looking lines. There we go. So we're just going to go all the way along here. Go back there. Just going to bring it all up. Oh yeah, there we go. All right, this one we're actually not going to fill in. Not going to complete that. Oops. All right. So now we're going to go over it with the nodes, with the node tool. Any program that has nodes and everything else. I mean, technically speaking, you can do this in Microsoft Paint using the same strategy. It'll look different, but it can be done. GIMP can do it. That's a free art program. That one's really good. There we go. All right. That looks good. So now we're going to do this hand detail. Right now I'm just putting the lines there and I'm going to curve it afterwards. Sometimes it's easier to just, I mean, it just all depends on what you like to do. You can do it while you work or All right. Okay. Oops. I just hit my microphone. Here we go. The curves are what make it all look three-dimensional. Oops. Here we go. And that looks like that. So I'm gonna. Where does that work? Okay. So that line looks like it's right there. The hands are always hard. And there's like a triangle looking point right there. There we go. So that's gonna look somewhat strange, and maybe just on that little outline right there we can add something. There we go. Trying to get these lines to match up. Okay, now that looks pretty freaky right there. So you click that. All right. Yep, you can see the gap in his finger. And I'll just add that one little line right there. So, all right. There we go. Now it's going to look kind of weird, but from far away it looks a lot better. All right. So it looks like most of his body is done. So I'm going to save and start on the other side. Oh, you know what? How do I want to do this? Actually, this, since it's in front of his body, I'm going to make his arm a different layer. That's actually going to go above his clothes. So what we're going to do, we're just going to do this part of his bicep. There we go. It's all in the lines. There we go. All right, looks like most of his body is done. And you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and do it. Fix his head now. I'm going to finish his head off. So we're going to draw the neck first. Okay, and it's going to stop right there because that's where his clothes are going to go. So actually it doesn't matter since his clothes are going to be right there. So we're going to pull it all the way down there. And we can leave that line straight. All right. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I always like to draw the head last. So we're gonna start on his clothes now. And I don't like to color anything in yet because it is gonna, it obstructs your view. So we're gonna go to layer 3. That's the one above 2. So his clothes are gonna be on top of all of this. So I'm just gonna start here. Follow his sash. His shirt's gonna be separate from the sash in his pants. Let's go in there. There we go. Oh, okay. Messed that up. Sometimes that happens. So we're just gonna find his shirt. Click back on that. And if you ever get confused by the lines, just click the little I button. So then all that stuff will disappear. I like to leave it there because I like to know where the stuff is going to be. But if it makes it easier for the sake of the video, I can just remove it right there. Because that can be kind of distracting. All right, then we're just going to go along the lines of this. of his arm. I mean, just think, these animators, they draw hundreds and thousands of these images a day. And they did it by hand. So we're just fixing all the curves on the lines. There we go. You can already see it. And sometimes I like to use thinner lines for the folds in the fabric. I don't know why, to me it always looks a little bit better. So now I'm just following the folds. And these we don't really have to curve if you don't want to. And don't worry about the shading and stuff over around here. The shadows and stuff. I never worry about that kind of stuff. Alright. Now, for this fold, since it's an edge, or it's like a fold in a shirt, we're going to use a bigger one. We're going to use the same size line right there for that part. Alright, and his shirt, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to check. Yeah, everything checks out. That looks good. It really look good once it's all colored in. Alright, so I'm going to save. Alright, I'm going to take a quick break and I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back and I just had to save and say part of that video. Now because I'm going to record this in pieces because I don't want to risk something happening and the whole thing getting messed up. And alright, so we're going to go back to working on the sash. The sash is next. Bro, and sashes are usually the easiest parts to draw. For me, I always have the hardest part for me is always the hands. So, this part, the clothes are always the easiest for me. Some people it's hair, some people it can be anything. Alright, so we're going to just try and make sure all these lines match up. Alright, so now I'm going to zoom. Alright. Let me see. How does that? Okay, so the belt. Shirt fold. Okay, so the sash is folded. Okay. So I'm going to try and make the sash match that fold. So I'm going to try and get rid of this point right here. Alright. So what you can do to edit lines is you'll click on one of the lines you're working on and then just draw over it. And I like to hold shift while I do it because that always makes it straight. So then we'll do that, and that'll smooth out that little crease right there. And then we'll move that up a little bit. And don't worry about the shirt because this is going to be over the shirt, so that won't really matter. Alright. So now we're going to do the pants. Which is real easy. I'm just going to do that because the sash is going to be above the pants. Alright, and now we're reaching that point where it's starting to get confusing. So we're going to start coloring stuff in. And we're just going to do... you can pick any green color you want. Or it doesn't even have to be green. You can pick any color you want. There we go. Sash. Then I'm going to use the color picker tool. Just click on the color you want and it'll be right here. So I'm going to do that for the pants. There we go. And now it's actually starting to look like Tian's outfit. Now with this, the opacity slider, you can do that to make what you're working on transparent. So you don't have to remove the color and stuff every time you just want to see what's underneath your layers. So right now for this, for the folds and pants, I like to use a thicker line because it just looks better. And these pants really don't have any folds on them on the bottom. I'm just kind of adding a few just to make it look a little bit more like fabric. Just maybe follow some of the outlines of the shadows. All right, and I may split these videos up into parts, so we'll see. I'll probably just make it one long thing. You can just take breaks. This would be a good one to work alongside with. Now we're just doing the sash lines. Making everything look nice and fancy. There we go. All right, everything's looking good. These are actually going to go all the way over here. All right. Now we're going to just move the opacity slider back up. And now, oops. Sometimes that happens, and what I like to do is I just reset the workspace. All right. There we go. So his his uniform is actually looking pretty good. So I'm satisfied with it. So with the pointer tool, you just click and hold it. It's just like selecting things on your desktop or anything like that. I'm just going to make his outfit one big layer. So then I don't have to move each item individually, because see, if I separate it, everything you draw counts as an object. So you could end up with hundreds in a layer, and it makes it real confusing to move around. So I'm just going to make it all one layer just in case I want to move it or anything. So now I'm going to click the little eyeball, and that's going to make the first layer visible again, or the body. And this is how I make them. So I just use a skin tone. It's about, it can be any color, but that's usually the skin tone I use, similar to that. And now he's actually starting to look kind of like that profile pics. All right. So next we're just gonna fill in his hands and stuff. Okay. So since we didn't fill that in, there's that gap. So what we can do is just drag that there, and now it just looks like it's one piece. We're going to change his bicep. All right. And we're going to do his neck. Okay. And so this is a separate layer. So we're just going to go ahead and make his body one layer. That's going to make things way easier. And next up, we're going to do his arm. So actually, for this one, we'll do his first arm wrap. So we're going to do the same thing. Click on it when it's just one unit. Select the opacity slider so we can still see the outlines, but now we don't have to take away the color and everything. So now I'm going to go up to layer 3. Just going to trace his armbands, because his arm looks real plain without them. Boom. Yeah. Right there. Boom. Bam. All right. That's good enough to be his outlines. And now we're going to do the little color thingies around it. There we go. Just going to do that. And just these two tools, the pen and the note tool, these are your friends, because it's easy to make perfect curves or anything else and not have to have any super good drawing skills, because I can't freehand, and my drawing skills actually, my non-computer drawing skills are rather poor. So this program is a godsend. All right, so we want his armbands to match, so we're going to do that again. And then we'll go over to the colors, and I'm going to pick the red. And we're going to make that one color. There we go. I mean, one big object. So now we got his armbands and his gi. All right. And we're going to leave the opacity the way it is for now. Because next we're going to do his arm, his second arm. And since that's above his gi, that's going to be in layer 4. Yep. All right, so this is a little bit confusing. So what I'm going to do is remove that. Oh, that's invisible. Go back to layer 4, and I'm going to finish his arm up. Same way I do everything else. I just copy the exact lines of what the animators do. Because I can't draw images like this without tracing. Alright. Then we'll do his hand. Hands are always the hardest. It's all the little individual bumps. So we're just going to go like do it this way. Try not to worry about the edges too much, because at the end they're all I'm gonna put a border around the picture so it all look real nice. Just following this thumb. Okay, so now fill that up. Right, do that. We don't want his fingers to look too thin. So there we go. And those actually look pretty good. I mean, if you want, you can add a little curvature. There we go. So now we're going to add his fingernails and all the other detail on his hand. And you know what? We're going to use a thinner line for the fingernails. That'll make it look a lot better. Alright, yeah, there we go. Then I'm going to go back to the thicker line. You can use thinner thick lines for the fingers. It really doesn't matter that much. And then there are the little spots that just make his hands look more like hands. Doing his knuckles. Well, the hands usually I don't even bother to add the curves most of the time. Well, for this video I will. So there we go. Right, so we're going to pull that forward, because remember, the hand is over this. Everything you draw is above what you drew. Your next thing is always above the first thing. So we're going to do that just so we can get that back. Looks like we're going to have to fix that neck too. So we'll get to that after this. All right. Okay. Go back to his hand, and there we go. And but before we color in the arm, we want to add this outline. Just follow over those lines. There we go. This was requested by a friend of mine who wanted a video tutorial, and I said that I'm taking this channel more seriously, so here you guys go. So we're doing that. And then I'm probably going to redo my stop motion tutorial series too, because now I know what the hell I'm doing. So, alright, here we go. Alright, so we're going to do his, I'm just doing the arm pat first. It doesn't really matter which order you go in. Okay. So, that line looks a little bit off, so. Yeah, that looks much better. Some of this can just be nitpicky work. Okay, I mean, trying to get it where it just flows evenly, but sometimes it just doesn't happen that way. All right, that's workable. All right. Now we're gonna put the body back. Now it's got both hands. Oh, I almost forgot. A little elbow detail. That's really important. So that's the stuff that just doesn't make it look like a dark blob. All right. Hold on. There we go. So now we're going to save that. And I'm actually going to move this arm down to this layer, but it's going to be above all the other objects. See, shirt, armband, hand. So that's above everything else. And now we got to fix this neck over here. We're going to do our little opacity trick. And it looks like it's following the lines really well. Okay, I see the part that's the issue. Alright, so this kind of stuff happens. So what we can do is actually, instead of having to get rid of the neck and do a whole bunch of crazy stuff, actually, you know what, I got a better idea. We're going to open that up. You can open objects in here. Then there's the neck, because that was the last one we worked on. And I'm going to pull that up there. Extend that line. Then just make it match the line around this area here. Just trying to make it, oh, wrong line. There's the neck. Trying to make it look as even as possible. Or maybe slightly above it. I mean, there are many ways you can actually fix this, but I'm just doing this to be quick for the sake of for speed's sake. And yeah, we missed a little line right there too. There we go. So now we're gonna put the opacity back. Yeah, that looks much better. I mean, you can barely tell from a distance. I mean, it's a little bit thick. You can fix it if you want to, but I'm just gonna keep going for the sake of making this video a little bit shorter. So now we got the body, we've done the hands. So now we're gonna go and finish up with the head. So we're gonna, what do I want to do? I want to just do the opacity. Yeah. Yep. Let me make it a little bit thicker right there. There we go. So that's gonna, we'll just use layer 4 for the head. I always start with the sides of their face, because for me that just makes it easier. Oh look, and now we can put the head over that line, so then that's gonna fix that little problem. Alright, so this part's a little bit weird because there's no line to his ear, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this anyway. This guy's the original Saitama, people. The original. I guess Krillin actually is. Alright. Bald heads are surprisingly hard to draw sometimes. So his chin's tucked under his chest, so that's gonna be right there. I'm gonna leave that a little bit round because you don't want stuff to be too square. All right, I see that little part. That's not supposed to be like that, but I'll show you how to fix that. So next we're gonna do his ear. There we go. And I don't usually bother with all this ear detail stuff because it's just a lot of shading. So I just followed this outline here and I call it a day and just make it a little curvy. So with this, it just depends on how much detail you want to put into it or what you want it to look like. But that's good enough for me. And sometimes these little points show up at the end. So all you got to do is move the bar down a little bit. All right, so we're going to test what it looks like with the ear there. All right, you know what? That's okay. We can work with that. That little spot, it's supposed to be where his neck is. Well, you know what? Oops. There we go. That's what happens when the layer is invisible. You try to work on it. All right. What we're going to do now is this. We're going to turn the outline the same color as his skin. But this little thing here, we're going to fill that up. This is how I fix problems like that. There we go. And now, once that's fully colored in, all on side with his neck, now it looks like his head and his neck is just one piece. So now, wait. Hold on. There we go. All right, so now I'm going to save. I always save after I do big stuff like that. And with the face, I always start with the eyes first. And the thickness of the line is up to you. I always think thicker outlines around their eyes make the characters look a little bit more intense. So I always go for a thicker one. Now we're just going to trace the eyebrows. More eyebrow tracing. There we go. And there's all this weirdness up in here. It may be harder to see if you're watching this, but that's that little forehead piece they have. Now for the face lines, I'm actually going to use well, you know what? I'm going to use a thicker one and see what it looks like. Yeah, I'm going to use a thinner one. Yeah. Yeah, for the face lines, I always like to use the thinner lines. It's always up to you. So it's just whatever you like the most, There we go. And then just add some structure to his face. You got the little spots up there. Then for the nose, I like to just draw the nose just like that. There we go. I don't bother with the nostrils or anything. I got his mouth. Little spot underneath his chin. There we go. Alright, now we're gonna, for his eyes, I'm just gonna use the shape tool. Because most of the DBZ characters, their eyes are halfway down into their eyelids, but he's actually just got, there we go, these irises. Alright, next is his third eye on his forehead. Man, I wish TM was a more relevant character. He's one of my favorite characters. All right. Here we go. So now we're just going to start coloring everything in. There we go. If you ever click on something you don't know what it is, I just hit on do. There we go. Wait, his eyebrows aren't completely black. There we go. All right, turn the opacity back up. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And it's looking pretty cool. What you guys think? So yeah, that's pretty much it. That he's pretty much done in my book after the coloring and everything else. And then it's really up to you what you want to do with the image. Let me save real quick. And I'm gonna make his head one piece too, because it's just easier to work with. I'm just gonna move that down, because now they can all be in one layer, so you can move the layers around, or you can do whatever you want with the image. And for backgrounds, I always try and make it match the background at the image size. And I usually just use this orange one. There. Since it's the background, it's going to be the lowest layer. And now, at this point, you can keep the original image in the program or not, and I don't really need it anymore, so I'm just going to delete it. We're trying to get the border on his arms and stuff to line up. So, what I like to do is change the thickness of the border around him. Yeah, until that's good. That works. And we go to the stars over there, because they're right like the Dragon Ball stars. Then we just go to swatch. That's it, swatch and gradient. So I always use the gradients for the stars, and then I'm gonna click on that, hold Control, click on it, then drag it. Then you can copy it, and then you can change the size and stuff. Change the depth. And I'm going to make it the orange a little bit brighter. Orange is always a tricky color. There we go. Yeah, that looks good. So now I'm just going to make the background its own image. So now, after all that, we just have 4 parts that are easy to edit. And click on that. And make it one big image. So now it's its own image now. So now, if you want to make the character darker, kind of like I like to make mine, always copy the image, hold control, drag it and click. Then I always save. I'm gonna unselect these, open these up, and go to his eyes. You can actually name these and stuff if it. Can you name these? Well, you can't name these, but you'll know after you've been working on it for a while. You'll know what's what. So his eyes are the little black dots here. So you want to add the darker persona to the character, like I like to do. That's awesome. Yeah, there we go. And we're just gonna go in here and actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna make his arm pads black. I usually use gray as a color, but black actually looks really good. Alright, pants, and actually his pants and shirt are one layer. There's the shirt. Yeah, that looks good. Some of it actually could work being black. Then you have to change all the lines. And I usually use a gray outline if I make the colors black. But I usually don't mess with black too much. So I'm just going to leave it gray. So now he's super dark, mystical demon god TN. So I'm going to save. Make it one image again. Save. And you can choose the image size. That's up to you. I try not to make them too big, so then your whole profile pic can. So then it can show up as your profile picture. You can get most of the image. And now I'm going to just go over to export. Export as picture. It can be anything you want. You can all these different formats. I just do portable network graphics, 32-bit, and I'm gonna hit export. And just you can save it anywhere. I just choose my desktop so it's easy to get. Already has something named other, so I'm just gonna call it Demon. Caps lock was on. Demon God TN. There we go. And I'm gonna save that. And that was Sony Vegas. And now it should be on my profile. And there we go, guys. We got Demon God TN. So that's how I make my profile pictures, and it works with anything. It works with any character you can make. Do Bleach characters, Naruto characters, just follow the outlines and you're good to go. Yeah. And just plug in your phone, and then you guys know how to move stuff to your phone. You can email it to yourself. There are tons of ways, or you can just change your profile from your computer. There are tons of ways you can do that. So, yeah, thanks for watching all this time, and I hope this really helped you out, guys. Please, if you like this, like and subscribe. And I love you all. Saiyan Ninja Warrior Z out.